Hello, world, and welcome to the Elm Podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and thanks for rocking out with us today. So, this podcast is a free space. Do what comes naturally to you. We know what makes us us is our personal experiences. And when we grow and share those experiences, that's truly our gift. So, pull up a seat. Let's get ready to rock. Welcome to another episode of The Elm. So this episode is going to focus on my conclusion to my paper, which was Racial Profiling, Pre and Post 9/11, which was written as a senior thesis in December 2002. Here goes. The last issue that is alarming concerning the current state of racial profiling is the congressional support for profiling. This is an area where nationalism plays such a large role in the words congressmen choose to speak. Very few congressmen will stand up against racial profiling in the same way as former New Jersey Senator Robert Torricelli when he announced, statistically, racial profiling cannot bear evidence to those who suggest that certain ethnic or racial groups disproportionately commit crimes. They do not. However, there have been some outspoken congressmen who have championed in favor of racial profiling. Representative Saxby Chambliss, the outspoken Republican from Georgia, suggested that Homeland Security could be improved by turning loose his hometown sheriff to arrest every Muslim that crosses the state line. His statement was a very poignant thing to say, especially for a congressional office holder. However, Representative Cooksley from Louisiana, not to be outdone by his fellow representative, was quoted as saying, "If I see someone who comes in that's got a diaper on his head and a fan belt wrapped around the diaper on his head, that guy needs to be pulled over," end quote. These two examples, which have been highlighted in print and on television, are strong indicators there are still people in prestigious positions in America who are not fully utilizing their power for the betterment of race relations between all Americans. The evolution of racial profiling since September 11th is astounding. Racial discrimination has also seen a large change since September 11th. So exactly what is the importance of ending racial discrimination? First and foremost are the dynamics of domestic life in America. So at this time, the fabric of America is being reinvented, and the character of an American is undergoing a similar change. Current policies are increasingly crossing the line towards erosions of civil liberties. The concept of unity and racial awareness have become highlighted more as critical to our national security day by day. As more culturally diverse people sympathize and relate to America as their home and Western ideologies as the most effective, policies and initiatives will pass with fewer objections. This is evident in the support to end racial discrimination, particularly against African Americans by Chinese, Latino, Irish, and Muslim Americans in the 1990s. Today, the CIA and FBI are actively looking for new recruits. The recruiting agents are especially targeting minorities and persons who are from the Middle East, culturally aware of Middle Eastern life, and those capable of interpreting the Islamic Muslim language. This type of intelligence gathering is critical to obtain pertinent information, which has been absent from our intelligence agencies for decades. In America, we have at our disposal millions of people who can articulate Islamic languages, blend in visually and culturally in the Middle East, as well as other terrorist hotbeds such as South Asia, Northern South America, and the Pacific, and people who can serve as the foundation for bottom-level investigations that aid in preventing terror, foreign and abroad. Government action needs to be asserted beforehand, giving people the forum to feel safe and patriotic in America foremost without becoming nationalistic with the United States or their ancestral homeland. Terrorist organizations have already taken advantage of disenfranchised minorities in the United States. Alyssa Solomon points out Al Qaeda is smart enough to sign up recruits who don't fit the stereotype. Suspected dirty bomber Jose Padilla, for example, is a Latino U.S. citizen. All groups of people, African Americans, Latinos, Asian, Muslims, Arabs, and every group in between has an obligation to make themselves aware of the history and patterns of discrimination in America and firmly support unity and racial equality for Muslims and Arabian Americans as violently as ever. The cultural diversity in America affords the United States the opportunity to maintain a powerful hereditary relationship with all countries worldwide, but by alienating specific groups, the government may squander this extremely valuable commodity. The necessity for having an unbiased view of racial variations and actively pursuing better race relations is also escalating daily due to the looming international battles the United States is going to take place in. Preventing unilateralism is an issue that President Bush seriously wants to avoid, but bullheadedly will embrace to affix a legacy to his presidency. In his State of the Union address, when he labeled Iraq, Iran, and North Korea as the new axis of evil, Bush put himself in a hypothetical corner. Either defeat the axis of evil or succumb to their values. Is there anyone who believed that the timing of North Korea's announcement pertaining to its weapons of mass destruction program was coincidental? I don't see it as a coincidence, but rather a validated response to Bush's proclamation. That was an attack on North Korea's sovereignty, and an adequate response was levied by their government, as well as somewhat forced allegiance with two other Axis countries. Iran, on the other hand, has been suspiciously quiet, which poses yet another area that the United States has to delve attention and resources to. In addition, war with Iraq is imminent not because of their weapons of mass destruction, but rather because Bush and his cabinet, with the exception of Colin Powell, decided months ago that this would be the next battle in the war on terror. The propaganda war was started months ago, but Iraq is not the only nation noted for its ethical problems. Several countries around the world do not feel the United States should be critiquing Iraq, considering the problem we have ourselves. This is a debatable issue, but some of these critical objections to the United States can be attributed to the widely publicized cases of racially inspired actions, as well as negative feelings from people living in the United States and returning to their respective countries with poor experiences. As a whole, the United States needs to recommit to cleaning its foreign image, such as reopening the strategically positioned offices of the United States Information Agency worldwide. This would help enlighten foreigners on the positive things the United States does and will help our government better understand the gripes that people abroad have against the United States. If at a minimum, this produces 1 media hour of pro-United States information in every country each month, the rewards can be immeasurable. Not only is it a useful tool to promote American interests abroad, it is also a way to gauge the standpoint of foreigners to enhance the effectiveness of U.S. foreign policies. The power America maintains throughout the world is unquestionable. The problem arises when people question the usage of this power, which many times is done so in a brash, standalone way. This system of dealing with the international community was founded in the time of a hegemonical struggle with the Soviet Union and the subsequent necessity for the United States to intervene in international situations as the lone world superpower. Many opponents to the United States point out policies such as our support of Israel and not Palestine in the war for the Holy Land, and our questionable past participation in supporting rebels and overthrowing legitimate governments in South America. In this new post 9/11 era, the power of the United States has been questioned along with the reach of American influence. The war on terror is a war that can be attacked alone, but not won solely with the unmatched strength of the United States Armed Forces. Now more than ever, our government is dependent on other sovereign nations to cooperate and share information to maintain a world without fear and without war. We are reluctant but without choice to reach out to the European Union and United Nations for support. A frantic pace has our government trying to solidify war support in airspace with nations like Turkey and Qatar in exchange for money and relief aid for the impending war with Iraq. However, before the United States can actually initiate stability in the Middle East and Asia, tone down religious radicalism, and improve the image of the United States abroad, our homeland issues need to be addressed and solved. This is a step that would not only validate the power of our government, but also show the rest of the world that the United States is seriously working towards protecting individual rights throughout the world. So that was the conclusion of my paper. How do you think we've done? Until next time.